Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I'm Bill Knight. Happy Tuesday. Hope you had a great day yesterday. Of course, let's be honest, even though we do these shows and we record them and put them on the air same day and stuff like that, you have been hellbound and down.
That's right.
On the road.
I'm traveling, man. That's right. Doing some of these programs for my mobile unit.
Actually, he can't afford the gas, so if you see a guy alongside the road with a stick and a knapsack and a microphone, that might be Jim.
You know, that's a serious topic of conversation. The price of gasoline. All along this trip, it's like double what I used to pay.
50% higher than it was a year ago.
Wow.
And the prices are going up. But, somebody, and this is before this last round of increases over the weekend. Last week, I was talking to somebody. Yeah, man, I put 10 gallons of gas in my economy car, and it cost me $52. A year ago, it was $2.50, and I'm like going, think about that now. You're just the average Joe Schmo. You drive, you might have an older car because you can't afford a new car. You just can't. And you're still paying for the one you got. There's $1.3 trillion that consumers hold in automobile loans. New car, old car, whatever it is you're driving, you owe that money. It is your responsibility. And now, let's say that you drive round trip 10 miles. Well, okay, that's $50 a day in gas. You go to work 5 days a week, maybe 6. That's $250 to $300 a week. So you're talking anywhere from $1,100 to $1,300 a month.
Yeah.
From what might have been $500 a month in gas. Well, food's got to double in prices to get it to the stores. So you might have had a budget of.
Bill, this is called a recession. This is called a recession on its way to a depression.
Oh, I think it's beyond recession. I think it's beyond depression. I think it's. We finally have found hell. We're at the gates of it, and we just arrived in our handbasket.
Everyone's talking about they want to get rid of the gas-powered cars. They want to go electric. Everybody is. Even we talked about this a couple of shows ago, where Biden slipped and said, "Why, we're in the middle of the conversion from gas to electric." He came out and said it. No one voted on this, by the way. But I had a question. I had thought about this over the weekend. Okay, let's say everybody converts to electric cars. Let's say they have an EMP go off above our country. Like we've heard threats of this from the Koreans, the North Koreans. An EMP is an electronic magnetic pulse where they detonate a nuclear device in the atmosphere, not on the ground, and it sets off an electronic magnetic pulse which wipes out our entire electrical grid. Everything you use that's electric fries. Wouldn't that happen to your cars?
Yes. Now, there's a way to protect them. There's things that you can do under the hood, but more importantly, you can do things in your garage.
You're talking about a
Faraday cage.
Faraday cage, yeah.
Right. You ground it. You could get a chain link fence and you cage the garage and ground it to where there's nowhere that magnetic pulse has an open doorway. And you're good. It's protected. Your vehicle will survive. But how many people can afford to go buy the chain link to do it or going to bother to do it? How many people have a garage if you live in an apartment? No, you don't have a garage. You live in the Northeast. They didn't build houses with garages. No, there was street parking because back in the day when these homes were built, a lot of them early 1900s to, maybe the 40s and 50s. And then the housing, they're next to each other. You had the one car that you parked out front, the family car. So yeah, you're screwed.
So, and if you're one of the millions of people who happen to be driving on the road when this happens, and by the way, if an EMP pulse goes off, it doesn't kill the people. I mean, it's not.
Oh no!
It's detonated so far up in the atmosphere that the only thing that affects us is the magnetic pulse.
The reason for the EMP is so that we do not destroy the infrastructure.
Right.
We destroy your means to get around and communicate. Takes out communications too, although most radio stations are prepared for it. If you wanted to sit there and know what was going on, you would get a transistor radio, some walkie-talkies, some batteries, and then you would get a shoebox or a big box and you line it with foil put foil on the lid too, so that when you close it,
I
it's
have
a
it.
Faraday cage.
I have.
And you
I
put
have.
all-
I have a Faraday bag. I have
Yeah.
actually have a couple of them. Not a bad thing that you can buy online. A Faraday
Right.
bag. It's about the size of a trash bag, and you can just put in your cell phones if you have an extra cell phone somewhere. If you not that the cell towers are going to be working, but if you have a walkie-talkie, a CB radio, stick it in there. Because somebody's going to be doing the same thing on the other end.
Right. The reason that they want to take out communications is that we will go into a panic. When we go into a panic and there is no food, there is no hope, there is no means of communication or travel, we self-destruct. And then they can just march in and take over everything. And there is that threat of a war. But, you talked about the electric grid or us going on electric cars. You live in an apartment, you live in a house with no garage, you can't plug it in at home, you got to go to a refueling station. Oh, wait a minute, we don't have those built yet.
Even the cars that we drive that are fuel driven right now, the regular gas cars,
Yeah,
they are so dependent on computer chips and things like that they would be
they're
useless.
gone, they're fried.
Yeah, but if you can find a '57 Chevy out there, simple wiring, something that
The battery is all you're going to have to worry about.
if you can
Maybe
get
the radio
if you can
won't
get
work.
an old Jeep, that'll work.
Yeah.
One of those old
you know,
War II box Jeeps. If the wiring, I mean, there's nothing there to fry.
Hey, son, make your own gas, some water and some sugar. I'll tell you how to do it, and you can drink the byproduct.
You moonshiner, you. But anyway, I was thinking about that over the weekend. There's so many things that they're trying to get us to do. They're trying to shift us into being electric dependent.
The interesting thing, though, the coal plants are being shut down. Oh, they're not green. They're pollutant. The windmills, they're not what they're cracked up to be,
No.
although we have them. They're going. The nuclear plants, well, after the 3 Mile Island incident, that kind of killed the production in the United States. Some of them have been recertified, but many are shutting down. We're going to be down to 6%.
You got to see that documentary that Bill and I saw.
Oh, yeah.
What an amazing documentary on Netflix.
You got another nuclear plant shutting down. It's up in Palisades, Michigan. They're shutting that one down. It's an old reactor, but it supplies a lot of electricity. And now they're saying with the shutdown, just because you have a nuclear reactor, you see it off in the distance and the smoke bellowing and all of that stuff from it. It doesn't mean, that's for you. No, they produce energy that goes in those high tension
Transmission
power lines.
lines,
Yeah, they go all over the country. Now they're saying, they're shutting that one down, and more of them are shutting down. We're going to have rolling blackouts. Well, not just Detroit. No, we're talking all over the Midwest and all throughout America. So you could be suffering rolling blackouts. So you're going to have no power.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to have no electricity. We're going to have no food because some of the items on the shelves are going to be missing. We're going to have expensive gasoline,
Virtually no gas, but
Right.
expensive gas. And if you have it, can you afford it? Because your budget's gone to hell.
Now,
No
my
baby
question to you
formula.
is this. Do you think this is not intentional on the part of this administration? You couldn't do this unless you planned it.
Well, Joe admitted it when he sat there and said, this is all part of a big plan to go to all electric. But it's not going to work because obviously he didn't think this one through, like he never thought anything through. And I don't even think he's in charge. Has anybody seen him out making a public speech anywhere in the past 90 days or so where you didn't see the vice president behind him, which you would normally do, or, maybe Pelosi behind him? No, you see Jill.
That's true.
She's calling the shots, and she's part of they've already said the Biden family is all corrupt and dirty. And they've even come out, the liberal media is going, they had to print an apology because to the guy that discovered everything on Hunter's laptop,
Right.
that the laptop is real. Everything is real.
Everything
about
welcome
it.
to the dance. You're only about a year and a half late.
But they don't want to say it too loudly because they were wrong. But you need to know that Joe is corrupt. His son is corrupt and an idiot that was smoking a crap crack pipe, a crap pipe. Yeah, the same thing.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Gave the whole family and everything away.
Well, this guy who owned the computer store, he was crucified by
Destroyed. He was doxxed.
He was so destroyed, Bill. He lost his business. The business is gone. He was devastated. Had to go into hiding for a while because he was afraid that some nefarious people were going to come after him and do some physical harm on him. Finally, he's standing up again and he's suing them. He's suing a whole bunch of different news media. He just settled with, who did he settle with? Was it, I'm not going to say what it was because I'm not sure. But he sued a bunch of different news outlets. One of them settled, and he's suing a bunch of others, including, I think, CNN. And because they all came out and they just said he was full of baloney, that he was a liar, that he was a Russian plant. They said that this poor guy who had his computer shop that fixed Macintosh computers, he was a Russian plant.
Hey, you know what? You're going to find a lot of people floating on the river right now. Unfortunate, too, that they forgot how to swim. I think Mook might be one of them because of all the stuff in Hillary. I even hear that there's even bigger news bombs about her about ready to drop.
I hear that, too.
Because she was into some really nefarious things. But the fact that she lied, makes, and this lie carried forward not only through Trump's presidency, he got in and he won legitimately. The big lie was her saying that she won in, the Electoral College. And the other big lie is because that lie was carried forward into this election.
On yesterday's,
got in.
On yesterday's show, we played a cut from Greg Phillips, who was the chief investigator and co-producer of 2000 Mules. And he was talking about the fact that he and Catherine Engelbrecht, who was the founder of True the Vote, who they were the ones who put all of the information together for 2000 Mules. Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. But they have something else, and it's coming out very, very soon. He said, and it's not anything to do with the mules that you saw in his movie. Mules were people who would go around with fraudulent ballots and stuff the ballot boxes, the mail receptacles around an area, and they would do it in the middle of the night, and they would do it multiple times, and you knew what they were doing. But he said that has nothing to do with the mules. What's coming out is going to be earth-shattering. Here's what he said.
A few issues coming up that are more explosive than the mules, that are 10x more likely to divide this country even further. Catherine and I spend a lot of time every single day, really not just praying through it, but thinking through how do we actually do this? Because once these come out, there's one in particular. It's a multinational deal. It involves billions of dollars. There's irrefutable evidence. We've been involved in a major counterintelligence operation that's very mature in this country, involving federal agencies and us. And there's been some betrayals along the way. There have been some issues along the way. But once we get to the point where this is ready to go, it's going to make everybody forget everything about the mules. And it's going to bring into question everything we think we know about these elections. Everything. I can say that with 100% certainty.
Isn't that amazing? It's going to make everybody forget everything about the mules, and it's going to bring into question everything we think we know about these elections.
I want to know what they got, and I'm sure everybody does, and I got to be careful how I say it. I think I might know somebody to call and say, what is it?
Well, if you have an inside source there, Mr. Bill.
Hey, here's something. Hey, you know what? News, it's news. Even if you find out it wasn't quite right, but, they seem to have been right 99.9%. This could be the 0.01.
Well, you would think that just with what they found out, they said that, I have the figure here, they said, please stand by as
We're standing by.
Catherine and Greg told the press that they discovered that 7% of mail-in ballots were trafficked during the 2020 election. 7%. That's a lot of fraud. That is a ton of fraud.
That'll flip an election.
Oh, big time.
But we're not saying anything about that because I know that there are bots out there, and anytime they listen for stuff like that, and I got to be able to say, we never suggested.
No, we're reading the news.
That's exactly what we're doing. I am not
We're being
suggesting anything.
good boys.
You draw your own conclusion, comrade.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see what that information is, and believe me, as soon as we find out what that is, we'll get it to you. Also, I was just reading, this came out just yesterday. The Justice Department is going to review the response to the Texas school shooting.
I saw that.
A lot of discussion, Bill, about how late they were. I mean, they were supposedly held back for an hour. They could hear the guns going off in the school, and the police weren't running in to save the kids. And
Why?
I don't know. You know, they talked to some police chiefs from around the country, and they say, "Hey, the first thing you're taught, you go to the sound of the shots. You go to the sound of the shots."
There's a chain of command. There's a hierarchy, and you got to wonder what is really going on. But right now, we're speculating, and it's not wise to speculate. It's not wise to armchair quarterback. What I am going to say, it is sad, and the real tragedy is that those kids lost their life. The other tragedy that's going on there is one young man felt compelled that this was his only way out. Why?
Did you hear the story about the Border Patrol policeman who charged into the building? He was getting a haircut across the street. He got a call from his wife. She's a teacher in the school. Shots fired. He knew automatically that there was a shooter in the school. He jumped out of his chair. He said to the barber, have you got a gun? The barber handed him his shotgun. And he took off across the street. The barber said, "I'm going with you." They both took off to the school. He went into the school building. Now, this is not apparently the one who killed the shooter. He got in there and got his wife and his kids and some other kids and got them out of the school. I think it was a different Border Patrol guy that went in. I think the Border Patrol guy, they were a duo that went in and took out the shooter. And I think they were told to stand back by the police, and they just ignored it. So there's a lot of questions that have to be answered about what happened and why it happened the way it happened.
Trust you me this. If I would have gotten a call like that, I would have done the same thing, and I would have gone in, and even though there's a lot of lives at stake, in my mission to get to my wife and child, if I could help, I would, but I'm going to get my family out.
Yeah.
And I think anybody would, but he's going to be condemned for that, and people might say, "Well, Bill, that's
And you know what?
terrible."
He's probably going to say, "I don't care. My kids,
F you.
My kids are alive." Another lady was 40 miles away when she heard there was a shooting at her child's school. She drove 40 miles, got there and found the police standing around outside, not charging the building. She said, "I'm going in there." She starts to go in there. They restrain her and put her in handcuffs.
Could it be?
She talks herself, let me tell you, she talks herself out of the handcuffs. She calms down, talks to her, they uncuff her. "You're going to be good." Yes, takes the handcuffs off. A moment later, she takes off into the building. She rescues her child and brings her child out to safety. Now, you probably saw the video I saw, Bill. There were tons of parents going nuts. They were yelling, "I want to go in there. Let me go in. Why aren't you going in?" And the police officers are facing the parents holding them back. You
got to wonder why, though. And when you wonder why these guys, you can't sit there and go, "Well, the police have no heart. They have no soul. They have no conscience." That's not the case. There had to be an overlying reason that whether, no matter what your judgment is of their decision, they had a reason, and it may not be a good reason at all. And I can't see any reason, but something held them back, or someone.
Let me ask you a question. You are you have your AR-15 and you hear gunshots being fired in the building where your kid's at, would you not go in there? I would go in there in a heartbeat. With two replacement knees, I would be in that building.
My heart wouldn't even have to tick once and I'd be in there. I would be in there. And I might get shot up when I get in there. But I'll tell you what, before I drop to the ground, I will have completed my job.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I would be in there.
There's just no doubt about that. And no, I am not a military vet. I salute every military vet. But as a father, as a human being, and you know what? I will sit there and even a diehard liberal that might be against me, I'll be there to defend them. And I'll be there to defend.
Now, the police said that
they
said they were spending their time smashing windows, rescuing children in other classrooms, getting them out of the building, which is probably true. They were probably doing that. But you can't do that to the exclusion of letting the shooter continue to kill people. You just can't do that. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, on another topic, things that are going to hell in a handbasket, L.A. We played this before and got requests for this, Bill. This is from the L.A. Times. This is not made up facts, folks. I want you to listen to this about what's happening in the great city, the once great city of Los Angeles.
If this doesn't open your eyes, nothing will. From the LA Times, 40% of all workers in LA County, that's 10.2 million people, are working for cash and not paying taxes. This is because they are predominantly illegal immigrants working without a green card. Donald Trump was right. 2. 95% of warrants for murder in Los Angeles are for illegal aliens. 3. 75% of people on the most wanted list in Los Angeles are illegal aliens. 4. Over 2/3 of all births in Los Angeles County are to illegal alien Mexicans on Medi-Cal, whose births were paid for by taxpayers. 5. Nearly 35% of all inmates in California detention centers are Mexican nationals. They are here illegally. 6. Over 300,000 illegal aliens in Los Angeles County are living in garages. 7. The FBI reports half of all gang members in Los Angeles are most likely illegal aliens from south of the border. 8. Nearly 60% of all occupants of HUD properties are illegal. 9. 21 radio stations in LA are Spanish-speaking. 10. In LA County, 5.1 million people speak English, 3.9 million speak Spanish. By the way, there are 10.2 million people in the LA County. All 10 of the facts were published in the Los Angeles Times. Less than 2% of illegal aliens are picking our crops, but 29% are on welfare. Over 70% of the United States annual population growth, and over 90% of California, Florida, and New York, results from immigration, and also, 29% of inmates in federal prisons are illegal aliens.
Tell me that doesn't make you think for a second. That's just Los Angeles. And I was reading where there's a big wave of illegal immigrants who are just waiting to cross over.
You know, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it now because I remember before the election, there was a lot of debate, and a very famous radio program director, which I'm an acquaintance with. I'm not going to call him a friend. He's not. As a matter of fact, we don't agree on anything, so he befriended me, and I was very happy with that. We had a conversation one time about illegals coming across the board. Well, we should let them in. We could use them for our labor. And then I thought, we need them for what? Well, we need them for farm. We need them in construction. Okay, let me explain something here. Let's say that I decide that I want to be a developer and I got some money, or I go get some of the money and I'm going to buy this multi-family home. So, I'm going to do rentals, or I'm going to buy a building that's a rental building. And I need to, put in new carpet, redo the walls, paint it and everything like that. Well, okay, so things are going for $90 a square foot. That pays for your labor, your paint, your materials, and everything. Well, you know what? If I can get that labor cost down, well, pardon the way I'm going to say this, but yeah, you can go, you can get some good Mexican labor out there that, they're illegals are here and they're going to work for, probably $7-8 an hour. So that's going to bring your costs down. You give them the supplies and they do great work. And now all of a sudden I've taken this crap shack that I bought, fixed it up, looks nice, really great. And I'm going, well, what's the going rate for a rental property in this town? Oh, it's $2,000. Oh, okay, great. Or I sell it and I'm going, yeah, this home is going for $108 a square foot. But in reality, I paid $25 because I used illegal aliens, or maybe $30 a square foot. What happened to the American worker that I just put out of work?
It's not new, too. This is not new. Let me explain something.
No, this is an old thing.
My home that I live in, I had built in 2009. I bought it through a reputable contractor, a big company. They make homes all throughout Pennsylvania and Virginia and places like that. I walk in one day, and the plasterers are putting up the sheetrock, the drywall.
Yeah.
And I don't hear a word of English. And I
of course not.
And I said to him, one of the guys, you're doing a nice job. And he looked at me confused because he didn't understand a word I just said. And he kind of laughed a bit and continued on his way. So I said to the foreman, I'm just curious, are those legal? And he shook his head. Shh, like, don't tell anybody. This was in 2009, 2010. This is Pennsylvania, folks. This isn't a border state like Texas or New Mexico or Arizona. This is Pennsylvania. It's all over the country now.
In Ohio, I know somebody that has a farm, and they use illegals. They've been doing it for 25 years. They come across, and they live in garages. Now, this is what Americans used to do, and people that came here legally when we went through the Depression. You might have a house and the garage became somebody's, nothing was fixed or anything.
Right.
They went to the bathroom in a bucket or a pot.
Yeah, you put a cart in the corner.
Yeah, and that's where they went. They lived in those things. You got an unfinished basement, well, you could collect rent on that and you could put in 3 or 4 families down there.
Yeah.
This went on in the United States, American citizens having to do that and work for nothing. Now, we brought the illegals here because, you can argue it any way you want. But guess what, folks? Soon, your children right now that might make 15, 18, 20 bucks an hour might soon be going to the bathroom in a can in a corner in an unfinished basement, working for whatever they can, because this is the America Joe Biden is building for you.
Have you noticed that they don't want you to say illegal aliens anymore?
Oh, no.
That's verboten. That is, no. These are undocumented citizens.
Yes,
they are not
undocumented citizens.
They are not undocumented citizens. They are illegal aliens in our country.
We are the only country that is opening its borders, but there is a reason, because I think this goes to world globalization, one world order, and you need to have a poster child. And why not the country that is the example, the shining example of freedom and democracy? Let's tear that bad boy down.
I was listening to the president of Hungary talk about how secure his borders are. You can't get into Hungary unless you have the proper documentation. I never dreamed in my lifetime I'd be wishing I had something that Hungary had. Secure borders. But with this administration, we're in for a terrible time. When President Trump was speaking on Saturday night in Casper, Wyoming, he mentioned the unsecure borders. He said the stuff was left for him. All he had to do was take the material that was there, put it up. It'd be done in 3 or 4 weeks, and you'd have the wall completed. They left it in piles to rust on the side. And then when people were pointing to the piles of unused wall material, they paid to take all that material and move it to another site away from the wall so you couldn't see it. Mm-hmm. Rather pay to have it moved than pay to have it used. That's what this is. So you can't never convince me, folks, that this unsecured border isn't intentional on the part of this administration. When you hear the fathead who is Mayorkas, who's the head of the Department of Homeland Security, talk about how we're a country of laws and we believe in securing our borders. And then he turns his back on all of our laws, every day. You can't tell me this is not intentional. This is absolutely intentional. Just reading 6,000 migrants in Tijuana waiting to rush U.S.-Mexico border when Joe Biden ends Title 42. It's delayed, like we talked about, it's delayed, but they're still hoping that Title 42 is removed and all of those people can come across.
Well, as soon as Joe can get his fingers around the pen, I'm sure that he will start the executive order. He does everything that he can't get done by executive order. It's just the way he works. And but the one thing that we didn't talk about yesterday or today, one thing that Trump mentioned over the weekend, that WW thing, and I'm not talking about wrestling.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, Bill, because I thought about it, but when you get to be my age, sometimes thoughts go in one ear and out the other. You forget them as fast as you think about them. But
I'm going to ask you this. On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think the likelihood is of it?
Right now, it's worse than it was a month ago. It keeps, and we don't
6,
hear...
7, 8?
I would say right now we're probably at an 8.
Yeah, I was going to give it an 8 to a 9, yeah.
Yeah, Bill, they don't talk about it, but the Russians do. I was reading an article where a Russian official said, we stepped across the red line when we gave missiles to the Ukraine that can travel 350 miles and hit precisely their targets, the Russian troops. When we did that, we didn't become somebody who was just giving them supplies to keep their armies alive. We became a partner.
Yeah, well, we're a partner, and plus, they can hit the Kremlin now. If we had somebody set up here that could hit D.C., do you think we would be doing, it's just a skirmish, no big thing? Or would we be sitting there throwing everything we got or getting ready to? China has stepped up to the plate, too. As a matter of fact, they did a study to sit there and see, you know what, if we sit there and throw out the arsenal, what's the survivorship rate? And it became into that category of acceptable losses. They used Australia as the example of the cancer rate from nuclear fallout if we went thermonuclear. And they said, well, actually, they would have a better survival rate because the West, America, would be destroyed, and they would not be getting their cigarette supplies, which is the highest cause of cancer there. So, in other words, getting rid of us would be a great thing.
So what you don't hear every day is that we're getting closer and closer to that WW, and what Bill was talking about was World War III.
Yeah. It may not be nuclear, but it might be. Now, if it's not nuclear, we've got a lot of things in our arsenal. But if it goes nuclear, we've got a lot of things in our arsenal. But you might want to remember this. I don't know if you can find it anywhere, but I know there's at least 20 congressional people that are heavily invested in war stocks, the Raytheons, and the makers of the mass destruction weapons. So do you think that they are going to sit there and go, no, we can't have war? Because the only way they're going to make money is if there's a war. Well, what happens if you lose? No. You don't understand how this works. You see, when you, as in every war, when you put your money on the maker of the weapons, they supply to both sides. So it's a win-win for the companies and the stockholders.
When President Trump said on the stage Saturday night that we're getting closer, he said, I hate to say this, friends, but we're getting closer and closer to World War III. When he said that, my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe it because all of a sudden, maybe for the first time since I've been following him, he talked about the possibility that this might happen. This might be a reality. It's like being in a car that's headed for a wall, and you can stop it if you put your foot on the brake, but you're not the driver. You're the passenger. So do you just go into the wall with it because you're not the driver?
Well, we're driving right onto the wall. People are saying, well, the midterms are coming up. But I will tell you this. might be too late by the time the midterms get here, and that's what I don't know. And I don't know that they haven't already figured out, hey, you know what? The steal has been in place. Even if they know it, we're going to steal it anyway because we can tie it up in courts. And we mentioned that there are already in just the primaries, already they're talking about votes that have been stolen.
I think we should continue this tomorrow because we have got a lot to talk about. We could actually just keep going, but I think
good.
Yeah, I know. We have talked a little longer than we usually do, but we have a lot to talk about. Don't forget, you can call us at 833-583-6060 if you want to leave a message, 833-583-6060.
And there's mail at itsanotherday.com, mail at itsanotherday.com, Pam in Indiana. We got Jeff in Michigan, Teresa Pittsburgh. Who else is there?
Denise in Connecticut. We have, who else?
Diane, San Diego. We've got Ann in Belmont. Oh, well, anyway.
We got
a bunch of people.
Jean in Pittsburgh. I know her. She's my wife, folks.
Well, there you go. Yeah. The guy that does my hair listens to it.
There you go.
There you go. I mean, and he's a good guy, but,
I'm sure. And now he said that he'll get a discount on his next cut.
No, actually, I'll pay double now because
yes,
I associated myself with, how dare you do that?
Hey, buddy, have a great day, and let's do it again tomorrow, okay?
Oh, I plan to.
Go get your hair cut.
Oh, no, I don't want to do that. What hair?